Tennessee This Week from WATE's 6 on Your Side starts now.
Hello and welcome to Tennessee This Week. I'm Bo Williams. This week we are continuing to hear from the winners of the Knoxville general election. Last week we were joined by City Council District 2 winner Nathan Honeycutt. This week we're joined by City Council District 3 winner Doug Lloyd. So first of all, thanks so much for coming. Congratulations, by the way.
My pleasure.
Let's start things off, first of all, looking back at the campaign. Anything when you were out talking to people in your area, your district, which we should notice that's Northwest Knoxville, anything you took away from there after all of this?
Lots, lots. Most of the folks that we spoke with, and actually my wife drove me and we knocked on hundreds of doors.
Sure.
Most of the folks that we spoke with, I'm going to kind of get it into a list there. Basically, they want good fire and police protection. They want their leaves picked up, they want their garbage picked up, and basically they don't want their taxes raised. They want their streets and sidewalks repaired or installed, and they want to be left alone.
Yeah. Well, you know, we don't talk a lot about that part of town, it seems like. So what are the issues? Are those the main issues there, or what's coming out of District 3 that you've been able to pick up on?
District 3 basically has been somewhat of I think, a forgotten district. You know, you don't hear a lot about us. You know, there's a lot of development in District 1, the Cumberland Avenue Strip, and the South Knoxville area, and so forth. But we're kind of stuck over there in.
Because you're north of Middlebrook, basically. That's your line, isn't it? Yeah.
It runs from Middlebrook to Clinton Highway, from the city limits on the west end to, I guess, West Lonsdale down. Western Avenue being right there, the heart of the district.
So what then kind of inspired you then to say, okay, I need to make a run for this?
Well, I'll tell you, we built a factory right there off Western Avenue for the lady that does the mailing for Dollywood's DreamWorks books. And I felt like that she was treated very unfairly all the way through that process, both by the city of Knoxville and by KUB. And frankly, I had a couple of other customers with about the same issues. And I decided somebody's got to do something about it. And we didn't get any kind of response out of our current city council person, so I decided I'd take a run at it.
Yeah. It's funny, you mentioned about the construction, because I did notice that there was an interview and you said you want to cut the red tape for construction projects. So talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. On that project, that was direct mail service. According to the architect of record, it took 14 months to get a building permit. As that job was coming to a close, the city decided somewhere along the way that building needed to be sprinkled. So, you know, after consultation between the architect, the contractor, and the owner, she decided to go ahead and put the sprinkler system in. You know, that's quite an increase in cost, but, you know, everybody looks at safety. So she decided to go ahead and spend the money to put the sprinkler system in, and then KUB, after charging quite an enormous amount of money to put in a water tap for it, couldn't supply water to the top of the hill. So then they turned to her and said, you're going to have to put in a pump station to boost the pressure. That was another $550,000. And then later, KUB wanted her to sign over the pump station to them, and they'd keep the maintenance up on it. And that was pretty blatant that they were going to use that to supply other customers at the top of the hill, and I just didn't feel like that was fair.
Yeah. A lot of growth coming into this area.
There is.
Yours as well, as you mentioned already. I mean, people are moving into there. So how do you now, as the District 3 council member, I mean, this is something that's happening all across Knoxville. You're going to have to work with the other new council members as well as the mayor. How do you tackle all of this as more and more people are moving to this area?
It's going to be a handful,
Yeah.
It really is. Most of the folks that I talk to in the 3rd District do not want apartments built in single-family neighborhoods. They want to keep the culture that we have intact there. And I've been fussed at by a couple of people over that, but by and large, the bulk of the people I talk to would be happy to keep their neighborhoods like they are. I don't think anybody has a whole lot of problems with a duplex or something like that, but they simply want to keep the culture of their neighborhoods intact, that neighborhood feeling, if you will.
Let me ask you this: before we went on, you were talking about you went to the mayor's luncheon after the election.
I did.
Got a chance to meet the other council members. Get a chance to talk with the mayor. Did you get a sense, because there's 5 new members, right? And you're all going to have to come together and work together. You all represent different parts of the city, and then you have the mayor as well. But did you get a feel on how this is going to work out? Because there's a lot of issues that you're going to have to tackle as a group.
Well, I'll tell you what, I pushed real hard for 3 of the candidates that didn't get elected. Mm-hmm. So I was probably a pretty nervous cat when I went to that meeting. Mm-hmm. But since then, I've talked to several of the candidates. I had coffee with Matt a couple of days ago, and we talked through a lot of things. And I believe that I can work with these guys and gals.
Well, I was going to say, and going through your website, I know you mentioned there were the 5 common sense commitments that you were talking about, and you already kind of alluded to it: job creation, reduce property taxes, public safety, Knox first, and then obviously being a voice for District 3. But I also know that in some of those, obviously you were somewhat critical too of the current administration as well. So how do you feel that's going to be able to work out and meeting with the mayor?
I also talked with the mayor about the emergency ordinance to funnel $100,000 to the food banks the other day. I think in principle that was a good idea. I mean, it was frankly a good-hearted approach, but I think that I would have used a different way of doing that. I think maybe a GoFundMe page or something like that might have gotten it done a little better, or certainly differently. I don't think that we should use taxpayer funds to fund a charity. I just don't think that's the right thing to do. I think that we need to leave charities to be funded by the people in the area there. That should be a private thing, not a government thing.
Gotcha. We're almost out of time, but I do want to ask you, before we went on, you made a comment that you're already getting phone calls. You haven't officially been sworn in yet, but you're already getting calls, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but I mean, that's just, that's part of the job, I guess, now, is that you're going to have to be talking, and obviously there's going to be some legitimate problems that you're going to have to bring to the forefront to your other council members as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I look forward to working with the rest of the folks on council. I've talked to several of them, either on the phone, via text or email or whatever, and I think that we can work together. I think they're...
Because there's a whole new group, so everybody's going to have to get to know one another here.
They're sensible people, and by and large, I feel very, very confident that we can accomplish a lot for Knoxville.
What's the main thing, the number one thing you want to tackle right out of the gate?
The number one thing I want to do is streamline codes enforcement, and I need to get codes enforcement and engineering to play well together. That's what I promised when I started down this path. But I have such a list, you wouldn't believe it.
Well, then we're going to have you back. So we'll just kind of go down and see what you've checked off on that list as we move forward.
That sounds good.
All right.
That sounds good.
Well, we appreciate you coming by. Best of luck moving forward as well. I know we'll be talking again here in the near future.
That's my pleasure.
All right, appreciate it. Stay with us. We'll have much more of Tennessee This Week in just a moment. Welcome back to Tennessee This Week. A moment ago, we heard from Doug Lloyd, the winner of the Knoxville City Council District 3 race. Let's bring in our panel of pundits to weigh in on what he had to say, and we'll talk about some other topics as well. Joining us as always, our friends here, Courtney Piper, Craig Griffith, and Michael Covington. Great to see all of you.
Thank you.
I thought it was interesting. We were talking with Doug Lloyd, and he said he didn't know how he was going to be received by the other members. 3 of the people that he was pushing for did not win in their districts, but he seemed to think that they can all work together. They all have kind of different ideas and different viewpoints coming in. Craig, let me ask you this. It is a whole new group coming together now, as far as city council for the most part. How do you think this is all going to work?
It'll work out fine.
Yeah.
However it works out.
However it works out.
Now, The easy part's over, the campaign's over, and now the hard part is governing, and that's what's starting now. And they'll have to learn how to work with each other and how to develop coalitions to get anything that they want done. Because it takes 5 votes of city council to approve, ordinances or resolutions. So to see how the voting blocks come out and on the different things like budgeting and things like that. Yeah. So I started working for the city, and I wish Mr. Lloyd all the luck in the world, in his new position. But I started working for the city in the 80s and through the 90s and into the 2000s. People struggled with permitting and getting things done for years. And when Victor Ashe was in office, he made some changes to the permitting process. And every mayor and new city council that comes in says we need to fix the permitting process. And yet here he is today in 2025 trying to fix the permitting process again. So from a person who is I believe he's an electrical contractor, right, has quite a bit of knowledge on how that process works. So hopefully he brings a perspective that will make some changes, that will make it safer and easier for people to do work in the city, and that we continue to develop. So good luck to him.
Yeah, Cordy, I know, codes enforcement was one of the big topics that he was pushing there. So
now permitting and codes enforcement are two
different things, but codes enforcement is something that he was really looking at as well. So how does that work, though? I mean, obviously, it seems like each district has its own set of issues and things that want to be addressed, but somehow you got to come together as a group and figure out what's most important. So what are the challenges then, I guess, moving forward?
These are all very common sense issues. A lot, not everything, but a lot of what he talked about why he ran for this office are very common sense, nonpartisan sorts of issues. And there will be an adjustment period. City Council has worked pretty efficiently these last couple of years because they've all been able to work together and figure out their differences and have disagreements without getting personal and attacking one another and isolating each other and creating different fiefdoms and pockets and coalitions that wouldn't talk to each other. So there will be an adjustment period with this city council, and I hope that they can continue on that same collegial tradition of finding ways to work with each other and not against each other and creating little fiefdoms. Now, I will say related to codes, I served on the Bidder Building Board over 3 mayors' administrations, and I would love to see more attention put on that. The board that I worked with, we were responsible for putting repair demolition orders on properties where it was clear the property owner just sort of abandoned their responsibility to take care of that property. And so in the city of Knoxville, I would like to see more codes enforcement as it relates to building permits. My husband and I, we added on to our home a couple of years ago. We didn't have any problems with permitting or codes, but I will say I made it very clear to every single contractor that walked on our property that it was important to me that we did things according to code, and that we did things in the proper process.
Gotcha. Michael, any thoughts after our interview today? I know you've spoken with Mr. Lloyd.
I've spoken with Mr. Lloyd when he was a candidate. He impressed me as being very solid. The challenge I see for this city council and for the new members in particular is the challenges they face with the sitting mayor. She has been a pretty big failure here in the last year. I mean, she has really stunk the place up. And Craig has said it before, this is a mayor-centric town. So the city council will only be as effective as the mayor allows. And so far, the mayor has just really not. She has fallen somewhere along the way. She just suddenly became not workable. And given that the city council does not have a lot of leverage as individuals or on their own, because they don't convene their own meetings, the mayor runs their meetings. If the mayor is not successful, the city council's efforts will be unnoticed.
Courtney, you go along with that?
No, I do not go along with that.
That's why
you don't go
along
along with the failures that the mayor has.
What? I mean,
which failures?
Yes.
Show Howie.
One.
The vote for the referendum for the vote in district.
Okay, 2 out of a 6-year period?
Wait. These are biggies. And this one, the tax increase that was not needed. No.
That's still 2.
Her last 12 months have been a failure. Her last 12 months have been a failure. You and I both know it.
I would not classify
Not a success.
two
Not a success.
unsuccessful endeavors
Her last
as a
year has
failure.
not been a success, and you do know it.
I would not classify 2 unsuccessful events as a failure for any elected official.
I would classify 2 galactic failures as a big problem.
Also-
Chilhowie and the tax referendum were galactic failures.
I wouldn't call them galactic failures.
Because you just refused to do it, but they were big failures.
I would not call them failures.
Okay, don't call them failures, but they were.
City Council plays a very pivotal role in advancing a mayor's agenda. The mayor cannot advance his or her agenda unless City Council gets on board, and that is traditionally done through the budgetary process. So City Council plays a very, very pivotal role. Yes, the mayor serves as chair of the City Council and presides over that body, but unless you can get all those individuals going in the same direction, your agenda as mayor does not advance.
I know you want to chime in, Craig, but we
Yes.
do need to move forward. I will give you 30 seconds if you want to jump in real quick.
Michael's correct. This is a strong mayor form of government. And the mayor has to come up with 5 votes on any proposal that she or he has to move that proposal forward. So it's very difficult to govern if you don't have that coalition of 5 votes on city council. But, the mayor has, it's a strong mayor. There's a lot of levers that she has or he has to pull to make her programs go forward. And yes, these were 2 solid failures that she had with the Chilhowie Park and the sales tax referendum. So, but moving forward, what else is on her? There's a ton of things on her plate now that she has to address. One of them being what to do with the Chilhowie Park land. Secondly, what to do with the police headquarters, the old safety building site, what's going to happen to that. So there are things that she has to work on that will require 5 votes of council.
All right. We do want to move forward here for a second. Another big topic we want to touch on is Brian Bivens has now stepped down, as a lot of you know, as the interim director of the Richard L. Bean Juvenile Detention Center. In a statement, he writes, quote, "The Richard L. Bean Juvenile Service Center is not safe, nor is it secure." And he goes on to say, "In light of the county's failure to make good on its commitment to these children and to this community, I could not, in good conscience, remain involved," end quote. Bivens' resignation comes following the release of a state report which highlighted issues at the facility. The report says an undated policy and procedure manual contained minimal plans for escape, hostage-taking, and fire evacuations. All told, the report identified 94 problems, and while being praised for making some progress, Bivens tells us he can only fix 16 of them during his short time at the facility. Meanwhile, here's what Dwight Vandervate is saying just the other day.
We are in good shape today. In fact, we are in infinitely better shape than we were when we started this process July 1st.
All right, so Courtney, we're going to start with you because I know we had a huge discussion about this last week as well. So let me get your thoughts here. Got 2 different sides saying 2 different things. What do you make of it?
Just when we think things are getting better, they get worse. So what this leads me to believe is that things were a lot worse than anybody was led to believe. The interesting thing about all of this is Brian Bivens has a lawyer and he is speaking through a lawyer. Why did he feel the need to hire representation? So, as a member of the public, I want to know what exactly is going on with this facility. Why did we let it get so bad? And what are we going to do to fix it? I also would like to know what the promises are that were not kept, according to Brian Bivens, because clearly he resigned because he was not getting what he needed to tackle all 94 problems.
Michael, I know you were outspoken on this as well last week.
Someone's not telling the truth. Period. You cannot have a situation where boots are on the ground. Brian Bivens was boots. He was boots on the ground. He was in the facility every day. He was in charge. He was the man. And a professional in law enforcement. He leaves and he says, not safe, not secure. Dwight Vandervate comes along and he says, oh, we're infinitely better. We're safe, we're good today. No way both of those things are true. No way those 2 statements can be reconciled. Someone is not either speaking truth or someone doesn't know what the heck they're talking about. And I still say it. At the end of the day, there are still children in that facility, and I become more angry every time we talk about it because no one has addressed it. No one has spoken truth about every single soul locked up in that facility. I want to know that every one of them is whole. I want to make sure that everyone is cared for, medical treatment, communication with their loved ones, something's way wrong over there. And the leadership over that situation needs to take a long, hard look in the mirror. It's just not good enough to convene and have a meeting. By God, you got to get something done. And apparently, something has not been done.
Yeah. Craig, we're getting two different reports there. So what did you make of this when we heard this the other day?
Well, I'll remind everyone that the problems with the Bean Center were only a light through a whistleblower, that things were rolling along, and then when the whistleblower went public with their concerns about the medication and the staffing and the safety of the building, that's where things, we had heard for years and years, things are fine, which sort of sounds like the county's, position on it now. With the chief of staff to the mayor, Dwight Vanderbilt, saying we are better. Yes, we aren't where we need to be. But I'm going to say here, I'm going to make a proposal I think that should be adopted, is that the county should close that facility. They should close that facility and contract out that service to other surrounding counties until they can get that building right. Until they can make it safe, until they can make it secure, until they can get the people that they need to run it. If it takes a year or 2 years, that's fine with me. Obviously, there's such a logjam that we're at now between the people, as Michael says, the boots on the ground, and then the county administration. So I would propose that we close the facility, contract out that work to the surrounding counties, get the facility fixed so that we serve the children. I was encouraged that Judge Irwin, in an article I read last week, said that the children are the paramount.
All right, and on that, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Tennessee This Week. Welcome back to Tennessee This Week. Senators Marsha Blackburn and Bill Hagerty are among 8 who would be allowed to sue the federal government for $500,000 per violation for seizing their phone records without their knowledge. This is allowed because of a provision included in the government spending bill. It all goes back to an investigation into the January 6th riot under the Biden administration. Let's bring our panel of pundits back in for a second to talk about this. We have seen mixed responses to all of this. Craig, I'm going to start with you. Should this be allowed? Should this have been included, this opportunity?
This is what you get when you have run up to the very last minute for a piece of legislation to be approved. People don't read it. I mean, famously, Nancy Pelosi said she never read the Affordable Care Act when it was passed. I dare say that senators and representatives didn't read this particular bill to reopen the government until it was at their desk to vote on. This is a horrible piece of legislation. This is a sitting senator is going to sue the United States to get taxpayer money to pay them. That's, here we are with our $37 trillion debt, and they want to add to it because they felt they were wronged, even though it's my understanding that what the government did at that period of time was legal under current law. And if you change the law, later on, you shouldn't be able to collect damages.
I know, Courtney, we were talking in the break. I know Marsha Blackburn, even before this came out, said that she was considering moving in this direction anyhow. So what are your thoughts? And as you saw this reported, this is all part of what was signed as far as to end the government shutdown.
It's not a good look for somebody who runs on fiscal conservativeness. And, I want everybody to keep in mind, too, the only reason that they can do this is because of something that was put in legislation to open the government. And why on earth a sitting senator who always talks about our debt and our spending thinks that it would be prudent to then sue the federal government just because they can to get $500,000 for their own pockets is an acceptable thing to do is beyond my imagination.
Michael?
If Marsha Blackburn wants to sue the federal government, go for it, Marsha. If Tim Burchett wants to sue the federal government, go for it, Tim. You're talking about the federal government. What's the point? What really is the point? You work for the federal government. But if that's what she sees as being the most prudent thing for her to do with her time and her resources, go for it, Marsha. I'm all in for you.
Because we've seen this, really, people from both sides of the aisle have
Right.
kind of spoken out for and against this. So,
And of course, the people in the House are mad because it's only for the senators. So, they're left out in the cold. So, it doesn't seem that it's treating both houses of Congress the same. So, this isn't something that we should be spending our time on. There's so many other things that we need to address and have senators suing the government.
It reeks
10
of
seconds.
corruption. It
Yeah.
completely reeks of corruption. The same senators that are saying we spend too much money on X, Y, and Z are now saying it's okay for me to put $500,000 in my pocket.
And on that note, we're going to have to wrap it up. Have yourself a fantastic weekend, and thanks for joining us right here.
The views of guests on Tennessee This Week are their own and do not represent the views of WATE 6 on your side or Nexstar Broadcasting.